Grab your passports, because this is Travel Unraveled with your host, Sarah Cuisine. Each podcast is separated into two segments, planning and what to take into consideration during your trip. Today we will discuss traveling to Greece, home of democracy, the Olympics, and the alarm clock. First, we will discuss how much it would cost to travel to Greece. There, their currency is a euro. 1 euro is equal to $1.52 here in Canada. A flight to Greece would range around $1,500, and a flight back would cost $2,000. These prices fluctuate a lot, so always keep yourself updated on the current prices. Also research specific fees that different airports have, and if you don't already have a passport, one that would last you 5 years in Canada would cost $120, and 10 years would be $160. The starting price for a taxi in Greece is $5.15, and each kilometer you travel after that will be $1.12. Meals will range around $20. A cheaper restaurant would be around $10, and a more expensive one would be $30. A one-night stay at a hotel would be a little over $100, or one night at a hostel would be around $20. Now we move on to conditions. This is the temperature and geography of the country that will then determine when to go and what to bring. The best time to travel to Greece is between May and September. The temperatures will stay in between the 20s, and there will be very little rain. The other months are cold and rainy, but August is busiest for tourists and will be hotter than the other months. A big part of Greece's geography is the water that surrounds it. Greece is a peninsular country with 2,000 islands. The Aegean Sea is east of the country, the Ionian Sea is west of the country, and on the south is the Mediterranean Sea. 2/3 of the country is mountain territory, but the rest are plains and beautiful beaches. This means you would want to pack 7 days' worth of warm weather clothes and pajamas, your swimsuit and flip-flops, a sun hat and sunglasses, and rain clothes just in case. Bring good shoes, a spare backpack, and a water bottle for hiking, and also bring toiletries, a first aid kit, any of your medications, a camera, a phone, and a charger, and you may also want to bring a power converter for $20 just in case. You may want the money you carry to be converted to euros, or you could bring traveler's checks. Lastly, you'll want to bring maps and entertainment. The last part of the planning segment is conundrums. These are the dangers that you could encounter while traveling to Greece. The Government of Canada currently advises to practice normal security precautions while traveling to Greece. This translates to the streets of Greece are about as safe as the streets right here in Canada. In Athens, it is advised not to walk in the Monastiraki or Omonia districts, or after dark around railway or bus stations. In recent months, all of Europe has also been under constant threat of terrorist attacks. Greece specifically is in the midst of a financial crisis, so the Government of Canada warns to stay clear of political demonstrations as they have the possibility of turning violent. Also remember that the equivalent of 911 in Greece is 112. Now that we're done planning our trip, let's head to Greece. The first part of our last segment is captivations. What we plan to do on our trip in Greece. On day 1, I'd take the 13-hour flight from YYC, the airport in Calgary, and land in Chania. It's a city on the coast of the island of Crete in Greece. I'd try to get a flight that would land in the afternoon so I could spend my time at the nearby beaches. The closest ones would be Nera Kora or Chrysiacti. Then I'd check into my hotel, get settled, and get ready for the next day. I'd take a bus from Chania to Samaria Gorge. It will take a little over an hour, but then I'd spend the rest of my day hiking in a beautiful, picturesque national park. From then on, I'd take a 3-hour taxi ride back to Heraklion. That's where I'll stay the night, but I'd spend the rest of my day visiting Europe's oldest city, Knossos. It's within Heraklion, and is an archaeological site dating back to the Bronze Age. It has really neat ruins of a Greek palace. After staying overnight in Heraklion, I'd board a ferry to Santorini. The trip will take less than 2 hours, but will cost $100. Find a ferry that will land in Fira or Ia. There you'll see the iconic Greek whitewashed houses topped with blue domes. You can spend a few hours in the city soaking up some culture until you board your next ferry from Santorini to Athens. It's an 8-hour trip, but it will only cost you $56. That night you'll stay in Athens. The next day, you can just walk around Athens to see the attractions the city has to offer. It's not a long walk, and everything is fairly close by. First you can see the Temple of Hephaestus, a pillared Greek temple built to honor the god Hephaestus, the god of metalworking, craftsmanship, and fire. Nyx is a hill that you can see next, where ancient Athenians used to gather for their democratic assemblies. Then you can go to the Odeon of Herod's Atticus, which is a traditional open-air marble Greek theater. Next is the Theater of Dionysus, which are remains of a theater dedicated to Dionysus, the god of plays and wine. Lastly is the Temple of Olympian Zeus. When you'll visit, you'll see the remaining pillars of an ancient temple built for the head of the Olympian god Zeus. You can spend the rest of your day wandering around Athens. On day 6, I'd walk around Plaka for the first part of my day, which is a historical neighborhood in Athens that has become a shopping district. Next, I'd go to the Acropolis Museum and the National Archaeological Museum of Athens. They're very informational, well-developed museums, and they'll give you information for your next day's visit to the Acropolis. If you do this and get the information now, you may not need a guide for tomorrow. So in turn, the next day you'd head to the Acropolis, which is an ancient citadel on top of a plateau over Athens. It contains multiple ancient buildings, most famously including the Parthenon and Erechtheion. Then you can visit Hadrian's Ark, which is a small sculpture beside the Acropolis. On your last day, you can spend your time walking around the city until you fly out. But if you had money for an extra day, it may be costly, but I'd fly to Olympia. That's where you can see the site of the first Olympics. It's really neat to see the stadiums where they first performed all the events, and it's worth the money. The airport in Olympia only offers flights in the summertime, and it's not an international airport. That's what makes it so difficult about visiting Olympia. Next we discuss culture, which is where we talk about what you'll find when you'll travel to Greece. It's a country of 11 million people whose main language is Greek. Their currency is the euro and their capital is Athens. Other cities are Thessaloniki and Piraeus. Greece can be credited with the creation of democracy, and it's the home of numerous philosophers, scientists, and mathematicians. Greek architecture is widely known for its temples and theaters. And Greek music has been assimilated into Asia and Europe's, becoming a mix of the two. Easter is their most important celebration. Ancient Greeks worship gods including Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, and Dionysus. They also wore himatians or chlamyses over their undergarments of either chiton or peplus. Now the majority of Greece's religion is Orthodox, and their clothing has become westernized. Overall, Greece's culture has been influenced by many empires. These range from the Roman, Byzantine, Persian, Ottoman, Venetian, and British. Lastly, we talk about cuisine. These are foods you should try while visiting, and also the basics of Greek cuisine. Greek cuisine is a Mediterranean cuisine, which means it makes wide use of vegetables, olive oil, grains, fish, wine, and meat. For meat, they utilize lamb and pork. Vegetables, olives, eggplant, cucumbers, spinach, and lentils, and for dairy, yogurt, and feta. Greeks' favorite fast food is the gyro. Also, Greece is one of the world's oldest wine-producing regions, with evidence they were making it since 6,500 years ago. Some dishes I would try while in Greece would be baklava, which is a dessert made of thin pastry, nuts, and honey. Moussaka, a dish of ground meat, this either being lamb or beef, and sliced eggplant. Pasticcio, which is almost a Greek version of lasagna, with the recipe involving white sauce. Gemista, a baked, stuffed tomato or bell pepper. And kaftikau, a marinated lamb dish baked on the bone. Thank you for joining me to discuss traveling to Greece. This has been Travel Unraveled with your host, Sarah Cuisine.